All right, today we're jumping into a fantastic Hindi folktale called Naseeb Ka Likha, which basically means what fate has written. And trust me, it's one of those stories that's going to make you question everything you think you know about destiny, cleverness, and yeah, the incredible power of a sharp mind.
So here's the big question, right? The one at the very heart of this story. We're about to meet a young woman who is told what her life is going to be, and she's just not having it. She decides to challenge her so-called destiny with nothing but her own intelligence. So which one is it? Is fate in charge, or are we? Let's find out.
Okay, so our story kicks off with this really wealthy landlord, a zamindar, and he's got this, well, it's a pretty unusual problem. He's desperate to find the perfect wife for his son, Mohan, but his own wife, the mother-in-law-to-be, is, let's just say, extremely hard to please.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Mohan isn't actually single. He already has 2 wives. But here's the thing, they're both locked away inside the house. And why? Because they failed these bizarre, tricky intelligence tests that their mother-in-law made up. She decided they were foolish, so poof, into prison they went. So the landlord himself has to go out and search for a 3rd bride, someone with some serious brainpower.
So picture this. The landlord is traveling through a forest, it's hot, and he is just incredibly thirsty. He stumbles upon this little house belonging to a potter and his daughter, a young woman named Kamala. All he does is ask for a drink of water, and what happens next pretty much changes everything.
This moment right here, this is our first real peek into Kamala's amazing mind. It's not some huge dramatic gesture, nope. It's a small, subtle little thing that shows just how intelligent and thoughtful she is. And you better believe it catches the landlord's attention.
At first, the landlord is just confused. He's probably thinking, the water's perfectly clean, so what's with the twigs? But Kamala explains it to him. She knew he was so hot and thirsty that he would have just gulped down that cold water, which could have made him really sick. The twigs forced him to slow down and sip. You know, it's simple, but absolutely brilliant.
And the landlord is just floored, completely blown away. This is it. This is exactly the kind of smarts he's been looking for. He doesn't even hesitate. Right then and there, he asks for Kamala's hand in marriage for his son, Mohan. He just knows she's the one who can finally pass his wife's crazy tests. But
uh-oh, there's a problem. A pretty big one, actually. Kamala's family is extremely poor. Her mother starts to panic. Like, how are we supposed to feed a whole wedding party? We can barely feed ourselves. But Kamala? Cool as a cucumber, she just tells her mom, don't worry, I've got this, and comes up with a clever plan so the wedding can happen.
So, the wedding happens, and Kamala arrives at her new, very wealthy home. But the easy part is over. Now the real challenge begins. It's time to face the infamous mother-in-law and her first official test.
The mother-in-law takes Kamala to this pitch-black, totally empty room and gives her the super cryptic order. Now, the 2 previous wives, they had apparently just grabbed sticks and started swinging wildly in the dark, trying to literally beat the Mother of Darkness to death. Yeah, talk about taking things literally.
But Kamala, she's different. She actually stops and thinks for a second. She understands it's a riddle. And what does she do? She simply lights a lamp. Light floods the room, and the darkness is gone. She killed the Mother of Darkness. It's just a perfect, elegant solution that proves she's on another level.
And this next part shows us that Kamala isn't just clever, she's got a huge heart too. The family throws this big feast to celebrate her success, but she refuses to eat. She says she won't take a single bite until her husband's other 2 wives are freed from prison. She argues that just because someone thinks differently doesn't mean they deserve to be punished. And get this, the tough-as-nails mother-in-law actually agrees, and the 3 wives start living together in peace. So for years, everything is pretty great. But then, disaster strikes. A terrible famine sweeps across the land, and even the landlord's rich family starts to struggle. To save them all, Kamala has to rely on her wits again, but this time the stakes are so much higher.
To find work and provide for her family, she has to step into a man's world. So she dresses up as a man, calls herself Taka Sipahi, and travels to a different kingdom. And she lands this really strange job with the king, guarding the body of a criminal who was just executed. The only problem? Every single night, the body just disappears.
So what's happening to the bodies? Well, Kamala hides up in a tree and discovers a witch is coming every night to eat them. And Kamala, being Kamala, cleverly manages to trap the witch. The witch begs for her life and, in return for her freedom, gives Kamala 3 incredibly powerful magical gifts. This is a total game changer. Now, Kamala is armed with not just her mind, but with actual magic. So Kamala uses one of the gifts, the magic cloth, to make beautiful clothes for her family. But all this new finery attracts the wrong kind of attention. A jealous minister at the court sees their sudden wealth, gets super suspicious of this Takasipai, and decides he needs to get rid of his new rival. So he starts plotting. And so, the minister sets his first impossible trap. He convinces the king to give her a command that's designed to be a death sentence. Build a river that crosses the entire kingdom, and do it overnight. But see, the minister has no idea about Kamala's secret weapon. She uses that magic wish-granting box, summons 2 genies, and bam! The river is carved out before sunrise. The king is amazed. The minister is furious. But the minister isn't giving up that easily. He comes up with a second task, and this one is even more devious. Yeah, his first plan totally backfired. So now he gets more metaphysical. He comes up with a task that he is sure not even magic can solve. Travel to the afterlife and find out how the king's dead parents are doing. I mean, come on, it's just a death sentence in disguise. But once again, he has totally underestimated Kamala. She agrees and kicks off this brilliant plan that involves faking her own death. Okay, this is my favorite part. This is where Kamala flips the script entirely. She takes the minister's own wicked scheme and turns it right back on him in the most brilliant way. She's not just playing defense anymore. She is going on the attack. So, after 8 days, just as she planned, Kamala returns from the dead. She goes straight to the king and tells him, "Great news! I met your parents, and they are blissfully happy in the afterlife." But then she drops the trap. There's just one thing they need to make their joy complete. They need their favorite, most trusted minister to join them.
The king totally falls for it. He's ecstatic. Eager to please his parents, he immediately orders a funeral pyre to be built for the minister. The terrified minister is then, sent to the afterlife. With her enemy gone for good, Kamala reveals her true identity to the stunned but very impressed king. And that brings us full circle, right back to that question we started with. Was Kamala's life destined to be one of poverty and hardship, or did she have the power to change everything? I mean, Kamala's journey just proves it, right? Wisdom is always more powerful than brute strength. And compassion? That's a superpower in itself. Through her incredible resourcefulness, both with her own mind and a little bit of magic, she showed that no obstacle is truly impossible. She didn't just accept what fate had written. She picked up the pen and wrote her own story.
So it leaves us with this final thought. When you're faced with an impossible test, or a destiny you really don't want, maybe the answer isn't to fight it head-on. Maybe, just like Kamala, you just need to think about it differently. And light a lamp. Thanks for joining me for this one.